please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
It's time now to get down to stocks. We have Ekta joining in with the movers and shakers of the morning. Ekta, what are you watching for?
Well, I'll start with Biocon because we will be watching for the trastuzumab target action date from the US FDA, which is December 3rd. And besides that, they will be, reacting to that news from the European Union as well. Loris Labs has got a tentative US FDA approval for an HIV drug, important because it marks their foray into formulations. And lastly, DLF is in focus because the Board of Directors and Audit Committee will meet today for issuance of shares under QIP and to consider proposal for issuance of warrants.
Okay, so those are the three stocks that Ekta is watching out for. We are just getting you a few more stocks, but I want to see if Asia has recovered at all. We've seen Shanghai and Hang Seng in the green. So do we have the SGX Nifty recovering at all after the...
still down about 6 odd points. I mean, that's what the SGX Nifty is telling us. Hang Seng is just about a sort of a 0.25% on the upside right now. So Asia has a more measured approach, and that's how it's largely been. So fairly mixed cues across Asia. So it's tempered, let's just say, after the fact that
Why is the SGX Nifty taking so long to come up? But yeah, as you said, that's positivity, still 3 points higher. But then it's off its lows. It was -6 when I last checked. But okay, I think we have to get to the big crude news that's coming in. OPEC and non-OPEC oil giant Russia have agreed to extend production cuts up until the end of 2018. The new deal will last from January to December of 2018, and the cartel will review the deal at the next OPEC meeting in June. So for 6 months at least, this agreement holds. Daniel Hines, senior commodity strategist at ANZ Research, joins us on the phone line from Sydney. Good morning, Daniel. Thank you very much for finding time for us. We have seen Brent now move a little sub 63. With this agreement in place, is all the good news in the price, and we should see crude sub 65, you think?
Yeah, I think leading into this agreement, the market was pretty keen to see this agreement reached, and I suspect that sort of outcome, the outcome we've eventually had, was pretty much baked into the price, and I suppose that's why we've seen a rather muted response, at least in terms of price action today after that agreement. But there's certainly some additional benefits that we're seeing come out of the agreement, which we do think investors will look kindly on, and I do think we could certainly see some upside in the next few weeks as a result of that.
Daniel, what is the kind of range we can expect? And we haven't seen any sort of a big sell-on news. This has gone along expected lines, yet the market is pretty much holding. So what is the price range that you are working with now?
Yeah, no, I do think once investors digest, I suppose, the finer details of the new agreement, in particular, the bringing in of Nigeria and Libya into the agreement does provide, I suppose, a fairly strong support level at current levels. So we don't expect to see prices weaken from here, and in fact, I think the obviously added benefit of pushing it right out to the end of 2018 does suggest that the market will get relatively tight in that period. So we could certainly see it a few dollars higher than here in the very short term. But obviously longer term, we do have concerns about what the higher prices will do for US shale.
Okay. When you say higher by a couple of dollars?
Yeah, you mean 70?
No, I don't think it could reach there at least before the end of the year. But it certainly in early 2018, when we do see the peak sort of demand season return and that tightness really draw down inventories, it's quite possible we could see it in the high 60s or even over 70.
Okay, and for the early part of 2018, when you said things could get really tight, at that time, how much do you think? I mean, does it breach 70 at all? Or are we still going to stay south of that number?
Oh, no, there's every chance that it can breach that level, but certainly on a sustainable basis, I think it might be difficult. We do feel that any length of time above that, we would see a fairly strong reaction from the US shale producers.
Fair enough.
Okay. All right, Daniel, we'll leave it on that note. Thank you very much for giving us a call on oil. So as you can see, most market participants and experts are still calling for the range to be on the upper side. No one's talking of a big breakdown back towards 50 levels.
We just gave you 3 stocks and we had to speak with Daniel Haynes. We have a few more stocks that you should be keeping on your radar, and Ronit is here with those. Ronit?
So 4 stocks on my radar. First, I'll start with HDFC Limited. So the board has approved a stake sale in the HDFC Asset Management Company. So they held around 57%. They're planning to sell around 7%. So the value comes around 50 to 60 per share of the HDFC Limited. Moving on to sale, Phillip Capital have come out with a report and they upgraded the target price to around 120, which is also an upside of around 50% from current market price. They're saying that they expect sale to see sequential improvement in performance, as well as they say the demand should improve going ahead. Moving on to M&M, we expect M&M Finance. We expect a slight turn in the stock because they've launched their QIP, that is the Qualified Institutional Placement, and it's an offer price of around 435 to 440. So a slight discount to current market price, so expect a slight red tick on that. And finally, UFO, weak set of numbers coming in for the company. The results came post-market hours and revenue was down 13%, as well as the margins took a big beating and one of the worst quarters for them post-demonetization. Back to you.
Okay, that doesn't sound too good. Yesterday you flagged off TBZ's bad numbers. We all know what happened. Okay. All right, thanks Ronit so much for that. Well, with that, now let's welcome in our technical experts, Ashwini Gujral, Mitesh Thakkar with us. We'll just have Prakash Gaba join in just a moment. Gentlemen, good morning. Thanks and apologies again, slightly late. Too much news in the morning with Biocon, US markets, etc. But Ashwini, first question to you, because you have been giving out that warning, about the manner in which we fell yesterday. Now with this 300-point reversal on the Dow, yet Asia being very cautious, how do you approach things?
Well, good morning. I hope the Dow helps you go up. But the point is, Dow has been up a lot, but we haven't followed through. We are in fact, gaining on the downside. So my sense is if you do get a rally, I don't know, closer to 10,280, 300 on the Nifty futures, I'll like to go short again. Similarly on the Bank Nifty, anything above 25, what is it? 25,500 would give you a nice place to get short again. I don't think, it's about the US. If they pass a tax plan or not, that's not going to impact us. Our problems are different and the market is focusing on totally different issues. And we saw what it's focusing on with the yesterday's fall. So today you want to sell the rally. We may not make substantially lower lows than yesterday, but overall the trajectory will be lower because as more and more people start losing money, they will shed positions and that in itself will take the market lower. So the first instinct is to get short on any initial gap up.
Okay. Ashwini, I take your point that yesterday the market gave us some very bad vibes, or at least gave positive vibes for the bears. But the GDP numbers were very good, better than expected. So the stop loss becomes important. If somebody were to find the GDP numbers good and buy, then at 10,300 you would reverse your call.
See, what does good GDP number mean?
Better than expected.
That means rates don't need to be cut.
Yes.
Plus you have inflation edging up, so rates should not be cut.
Yes.
So, that means for financials, their game is up. So that is what the financials priced in because of that fiscal deficit going up. So my sense is market is focusing on that. It's no longer pricing in growth because growth, I don't think you can get a fair handle till this, GST, etc. stabilizes.
Okay.
If it was focusing on the GDP number, it won't have fallen yesterday because those GDP numbers were known all over Delhi.
Okay, well, it's quite possible that, the markets were pricing. I'm a little amazed that anybody should be pricing in a rate cut even before the GDP numbers came in. It was just not there in the RBI speak. But that apart, how will you play the financials, though? It's a bigger sell, Nifty Bank?
See, that is what is leading the market lower because each time the fiscal gets disturbed, I think that has a much bigger impact on financials. So that's where you should concentrate on your short positions. But keep that 10,100 in mind, recent lows. If that gets taken out, all hell will break loose and all this mid-cap outperformance will really come to an end. The other point is this US tax plan. It's good that it wasn't announced yesterday. Otherwise, the markets would have fallen from yesterday onwards. I mean, you are, basically you've priced in everything. For 1 year, you've been pricing in. So, in fact, that event would lead to a, some kind of global correction because global markets are kind of priced at then. So, we shouldn't hope that US will bail us out.
Okay, fair enough. Mitesh, good morning. Let's get your trading ideas and also in the index itself. Are you thinking in a particular direction, long or short at open?
Yeah, good morning. I think very clearly there was some kind of a breakdown yesterday, and I think therefore some more correction is definitely expected. So the idea should be to trade on the short side, especially on the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. The only thing that you might want to see it do it at a better price point. So I think Nifty anything close to about 10,250 or 270 zone I think would be the ideal levels to go short. I think 10,300 plus could be your stop loss, and I do expect eventually 10,180 there's a minor support, but eventually 10,130, 100 levels to be retested again. So that's the kind of view which I have for the next few days. On the stock side, I have 3 sells and 2 buys. Aurobindo Pharma is a conditional sell, so if it starts breaking 690, which is just below an important pivot, sell then with a stop at 705, look for targets of 660. Balkrishna Industries is a buy call. The intraday charts are suggesting some positive traction there. So keep a stop at 2115, look for targets close to about 2200. I also have a buy on Engineers India, where again the intraday charts were positive and the stock actually ended the day yesterday with a positive close. So that's a buy with a stop at 183 for targets of 196. 2 more sell calls from the banking lot. Federal Bank is a sell. Sell if it breaks the pivot supports of 110. Keep a stop at 112.5 and look for targets of 104. And Kotak Bank, some indicators are suggesting some correction. So that's a sell with a stop at 1016 for targets of around 970.
Okay, good morning, Prakash. Your thoughts?
Good morning. We have seen a high at 10,490. That's a beautiful geometry at 10,485. So I would like to respect that top as long as that hold. If that gets taken out, we will be bullish. There's some, when you look at the setup, there's a pressure out there in the upper regions, more of an exhaustion pattern out there. Yesterday's move is a weak move. So if we get rallies, those are shorting opportunities. Where do you sell? I would say even up to the levels of 10,000, somewhere between 10,270, 280 zones. Even if you get up move there, those are shorting opportunities here. Downside is open. The first technical target on the downside is 10,164. Looks like it's heading to levels closer to 10,094, the recent low. And if that gets taken out, there's a very good chance we could see a slide to 10,013. So closer to 10,000 is a possibility. So far, no sign of strength, short rallies. I have 2 stocks,
Yeah,
2
please
longs,
go
2
ahead.
shorts. GN Irrigation looks good to me. We can see a good up move, a good base formation out here. We can see a move up to 128 zones, stop below 116. Nestle is also looking good. Looks again like a base formation out here. Indicator buy has come in. We could see a move up to 7875, 7,900 zones, stop below 7575. And 2 shorting candidates, Tata Steel. Looks weak, more of an exhaustion pattern here. We could see a slide to levels closer to 675, stop above 705, and finally a sell on Yes Bank. It's a weak move. It's heading down to levels closer to 298, 295 zones, stop about 310.
Lots of banks on the sell lists this morning. Ashwini, let's get your trading ideas as well. Anyway, you are saying that the Nifty Bank and the banks, they are the ones at the crosshairs.
See, Radico Khaitan is a buy with a stop of 280, target of 305. Balkrishna Industries is a buy with a stop of 2100, target of 2250. And Lupin is a sell with a stop of 825, target of 800. PFC is a sell with a stop of 125, target of 112. And Reliance Infra is a sell with a stop of 445, target of 420.
Welcome back. So let's now shift gears to Motown. Auto sales for the month of November are due as we go through the day today. Hitesh Goyal, senior analyst at Kotak Institutional Equities, now joins in. Hitesh, so obviously it's a bit of an anomaly month because, 8th November, we all know what happened last year. So let's start with the best performers. I mean, where would you expect sort of, the highest traction to come through, and how would you read the data, given the fact that base trends are sort of, they're skewing the perspective?
See, basically, I think festive season for two-wheelers went quite decent. I mean, there was a 20% plus kind of growth for two-wheeler makers in the festive season. So the dealer inventories have come down to reasonable levels, which was quite high before the festive season. So some manufacturers in two-wheeler side will start now building inventories, dealer inventories. So what you see is dispatch numbers, not the retail numbers, right? So next 2 months, like you said, in two-wheelers, actually, fourth quarter was also pretty bad last year, because demonetization impacted two-wheelers more than cars. So next 4-5 months, I think two-wheeler numbers will be decent, better than cars. But in cars, Maruti will continue to do well because they don't have much capacity. So Maruti will continue to report good numbers. So these, I think, will be the key trends to watch out for. In the CV space, we'll have to see in the fourth quarter, because fourth quarter base was higher last year because they were, the pre-emission, the pre-buying before the pre-emission norms changed last year. So the base for fourth quarter is quite high for CVs. So CVs, especially the heavy CV side, growth may moderate or could be flattish in fourth quarter. Maybe.
Okay, rather than say flat and strong, if you can give us some numbers, the estimates we've got from brokerages is every company is between 25 and 30% growth. For instance, we are told that we should be expecting, Tata Motors 23%, M&M 29%, tractors 26%, Ashok. Okay, the numbers are very big. What is your, number estimate, say, for Maruti first?
So we are looking at 18% growth for Maruti.
Okay, that means what? 1.5 lakh vehicles?
1.6
lakh vehicles.
That's 18% year on year.
Yes.
And sequentially, it will be a slight moderation. You're expecting slight moderation?
See, they don't have capacity much more than that. So they can't do more than that.
Okay, so it's good to look at it sequentially. What is, according to you, which company would be the standout performer?
So like you said, everything would grow at above 20%. Our estimates also between 20 to 30%.
No, so Hitesh, let's actually look at sequential, because year on year, I mean, it's an anomaly period. So sequentially,
no, you can't look at sequential also because September, October
festival.
Again. Yeah, festival. So sequentially is not the right way to look at an auto sector. What is important from a stock perspective is not the sales numbers this month, but the trend.
Okay.
For the next 5 months.
If you can just give us your numbers as well for Hero, Bajaj and TVS. What are you expecting in these, say, TVS?
So TVS, we are expecting, I think, 25% growth.
Okay. So that will be some 2.8.
Yeah.
2.8 lakh vehicles.
Yeah.
Right? Would you remember Bajaj and Hero as well? Bajaj, we got an estimate of 3.3 lakhs.
I think we are at 3.2 lakhs.
Okay.
And for Hero, I think we are looking at 18% growth.
Okay. So that will be something like 5.6.
Yeah.
All right. I think we'll have to wait for the numbers. Yep.
Hitesh, then before we let you go, top picks in the sector right now?
We like Maruti, Tata Motors, M&M and Apollo Tyres.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Hitesh. We will touch base with you after we start getting the numbers. Thank you for joining us. Well, so you can't look at it MOM, you can't look at it YOY. So this is going to be a difficult quarter and a difficult month to analyze. But I think, yeah, that's true of every number that we will get.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, let's invite our next guest, Abhimanyu Sofat of IIFL, with us on the show as well. Abhimanyu, good morning. Let me actually take the auto sales conversation forward with you as well. How much importance are you going to place on the November number, given the fact that it's tough to analyze it? You can't cut it YOY or QOQ or month on month.
Yeah, so from our perspective, I think so clearly one needs to look at, what happens on the commercial vehicle side, because what we are seeing is that there is some kind of improvement happening on the commodity cycle. And as a result of that, the heavy tonnage vehicles sales growth are expected to do pretty well. So, it's not something which has happened over the last 2 years, but I think so from a 10-year perspective, what we are seeing is that some of these companies, especially the smaller auto ancillaries, have now started showing good numbers who are related to HCV side. So if that happens going forward as well, we could see a lot of traction within the automobile sector. Coming to numbers, I think so more on the farm equipment sector, something like an M&M should do pretty well in terms of numbers. In addition to that, Tata Motors also should do well in terms of numbers. From the two-wheeler perspective, I think so it's more to do with the base effect that one expects a 25% kind of a growth in this particular month, YOY basis, clearly because of the base. So overall, it's the HCV segment which is something that we need to look at from our perspective.
Okay, which part of the finance sector you are buying at all? Clearly, there is a scare that bond yields have gone up almost to 7.5 to 7.05 to 7.1%. What would your picks be in that space? Would you want to shed any of your investments?
So I think so. There are opportunities which people are now getting because there is a fear of the bond yield increasing. I think so GIC Housing Finance is one of those companies. It has already corrected close to around 25-30, more than 25% in fact from the high. Price to book of around 2.5 times. I think so that's an attractive story to look at. We still believe that affordable housing continues to be good, so companies which are targeting that particular segment are companies to look at in case there's a fall in the market. On the microfinance side, you know, Ujjivan is something that we continue to like because we do see attraction happening again in that company. So more or less, yes, if interest rates do go up, that could have a negative impact, but we are quite hopeful on the growth prospect of these particular companies. Coming to the PSU banks, I think so it would make sense to look at stories like Indian Bank, which are relatively doing better in their particular segment. Valuation wise also it's trading at around 1.2 FY19. So those are the kind of stories that we like at this particular juncture.
Abhimanyu, do you track Biocon? Yeah, so then thoughts on the development today, when the fact that their application has been accepted by the European regulator and Sunday is a critical US FDA day.
Yeah, so I think so. What is important is that the Bangalore plants, you know, gets an approval for them to, you know, they and Mylan to go and fight out with Roche because for critical drugs, you know, there's an opportunity of close to around $2 billion, which could come from the Bangalore plant. So I think so it's a positive development, but would wait for US FDA as well before taking a firm view on Biocon.
How much have you factored in? I mean, is there a certain market size, you know, certain rupees crores sort of that you've put to this for trastuzumab?
Yes, so we're still waiting for that. I don't have the numbers right now.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us with those thoughts, Abhimanyu. Have a great weekend and a great trading day as well. We have to take a quick break and we are going to get the pre-opening rates when we are back. We will also have Mr. S.P. Tulsian joining in with one long-term stock bet.